Hey guys, this video I will crack open and show you the Hasbro Black Series release for Rogue One's Saw Gerrera. It is part of my recent pickup, which also includes the Dark Trooper, Typhon Boba Fett, and Tika the Jawa from the Obi-Wan series. I'm not sure which one of these I would actually review, but of all these figures here, I was most looking forward to Saw Gerrera, which is strange because I liked Rogue One as a movie a lot, but in terms of action figures, I have not picked up any of the Rebels except for Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor, and that's because they came with the 3-pack, which include the Elite Death Trooper. But something about Saw. When I saw the Hasbro review, I was completely blown away. What's more, I am a huge fan of Forrest Whitaker. He's one of those actors who have been everywhere. Good movies, bad movies, and lots of cult classics. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Vision Quest, Platoon, Stakeout, Color of Money, Bloodsport, The Crying Game, Species, even Battlefield Earth, for crying out loud. The guy won the Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actor and then goes on to win the Oscars for King of Scotland. And then, of course, he was in Rogue One playing Saw Gerrera, a character who Lucasfilm has really latched onto. Since his appearance in Rogue One, they shimmy him into other properties, such as Star Wars Rebels, Jedi Fallen Order, The Bad Batch, and I'm sure he will come up more in the future. Hopefully in live action, so we will see Forrest Whitaker again. So, yeah, I was really looking forward to this figure release. Okay, so back to the figure. As you could see, this figure comes in the enlarged box, which means it is considered a deluxe. I am certain it will attract the ire of many of you out there, since deluxe for Star Wars Black Series means it is in a slightly bigger box, and a bigger figure, and has more decoration. And this figure is no different, which comes separately with only a blaster and a stick. But spoiler alert, I already opened this figure and I personally think it's worth the extra price tag. Continuing on to the side of the package, it's a nice illustration of Saw as he appears in the final cut of Rogue One. As many of you might know, he actually sports a different hairstyle in the earlier cuts of the film. The back is a blurb as usual. And that's about it with the packaging. So let's rip this guy open. So I'm going to kill all suspense. I love this figure. Everything from the details to the color scheme. I think the character design is brilliant. Hasbro really went all out with it. I think they were taking a big risk, as many figures from Rogue One proved to be peg warmers. I hope I'm wrong, because I personally would love for Hasbro to begin producing all these side characters to flush out the Star Wars universe. The face sculpt is very on point. It even picked up on the actor's left eye, which has been disclosed as a genetic condition known as ptosis, or droopy eyelid. Notwithstanding any hardship that he might have suffered during his life, I personally think it adds to his character. Saw Gerrera also has some scarring to his right cheek and left forehead, and it is represented here in the sculpt, along with slightly darker skin tone. What's more, the head sculpt is no longer shiny. I hope this is the direction to come. You can tell it's all new sculpt and no reuse, and the only reuse in the future I could think of is perhaps a gaming grades version for Jedi Fallen Order using a different head sculpt and some minor tweaks. The cool thing about this character design is the symmetrical nature of, well, everything. You can see nothing is modular. Even the left and right limbs don't match, and it is all brought to life here. There are also lots of elements of different qualities stuck onto this figure. The breathing apparatus with a clear hose and then another hose coming out of his chest armor and connected to a water bottle hanging from the side of his belt. It is painted at the end where it turns into a connection joint, and if you run your nail along it, you realize that it is ribbed. There are straps here and there, either sculpted into the armor or attached separately. Both legs are done with part separation between the leg and the pants. The prosthetic right leg is painted in this excellent dull metallic color, while the organic foot is molded in flesh and has different colors in the sandals and the metal anklet. The list goes on and on. In the end, the character design itself is like a kit bash, visually tied together by metallic rings, which is a motif throughout the figure, and it's painted very nicely with sharp details. And finally, the design is punctuated with this awesome looking cape molded in soft plastic and has this really excellent paint scheme on it. I can imagine many will be like, whoa, I want soft goods, soft goods, soft goods. You know, everybody loves soft goods, but hear me out. I am actually happy to have done it this way because the way it drapes can only be achieved with plastic. It also doesn't hinder articulation much, although it might present a problem if you wish to seat it on a throne. And I don't dare to tug on it because it looks like with the right amount of strength, you could just snap it off. About the paint scheme, I am very grateful to the boys from Out of the Basement for pointing something out. They recently uploaded a video of Cop Wanth figure, also a decorative deluxe figure with a lack of accessories. In the video, Justin said that even if Hasbro justified charging more for parts separation and paint schemes, they have to go all out and paint in more details. He did a very thorough comparison between Cobb and the deluxe Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, and found Hasbro has skipped out on many areas where the previous Fett release has painted. That video made sense, and it reminded me to pay extra attention to Saw Gerrera. So what are my findings? After a careful examination, I spotted some areas which could have benefited from more paint apps. These areas include the green lights that appear on the chest armor, some areas in the pants, and although the latter I'm not 100% sure without good reference, but some parts look like they're different materials. One can also say they can apply more weathering, but for a production toy, again, you'll have to eventually draw a line somewhere. As it stands, my verdict for paint apps is they did an excellent job. I've yet to see a Black Series figure that incorporates so much material qualities, and the way all these straps and various elements integrate together is pretty impressive. The straps itself, from my reference, it's a bit too pronounced and a bit too clean. But as a toy, they actually create a nice visual separation, and I'm actually okay with the slightly different tone that you might have. Speaking of paint apps, let's segue into accessories then. This will be a short section because there's only the walking stick and a pistol. But both of these are well painted enough to suggest materials come together, and I am cool with these. As for articulation, this figure has the basic movement covered for normal posing, but don't expect Spider-Man range. The head can do a 360 Linda Hamilton impression, but it's rather limited when looking up and down. Also, the armor, which comes as a separate piece like with many of the modern figures, has a tendency to ride up the body, and you will have to occasionally pull it down so that it doesn't cover up the mouth. The shoulder fly can achieve the range of a normal human being thanks to the left shoulder armor being on a hinge, and both left and right shoulder armor being made in soft plastic, which means it can move out the way. The aforementioned left shoulder armor is on a pivot which connects to the torso armor, although it can easily become detached from it. But likewise, it can also easily snap back into place. The shoulder has a bit of a forward and backwards movement because it is on a butterfly hinge. The elbows can only bend 90 degrees, and while there are no visible pin joints, the bending will disrupt the illusion of the rings on the arms when bending. Also, the elbow joint is responsible for the arms being able to swivel, as with many recent Black Series figures. Wrist is also similar to other figures in that the right wrist can swivel along one axis while the other wrist on another axis. Both wrists can spin 360 degrees along the axis of the forearm. tummy tuck has surprisingly a good range of movement and can do a 360 rotation, but because of the hose attached to the different points of the figure, I would not advise this unless there's a very compelling reason to do so. The hip to leg attachment is similar to other figures with a fixed ball joint extending from the crotch, and that joint allows the legs to go 90 degrees. The thigh also has an intermediate movement to allow the leg to rotate 360 degrees. Knee joints can also only bend 90 degrees, and like the elbow can allow 360 rotation along the leg's axis. Then on the left leg, there is an additional point of rotation between the organic leg and the pants, while the right leg, the mechanical leg, doesn't allow this movement. Nonetheless, both legs allow rotation on the ankles and can tilt up and down no problem. Now for size comparison, I am going to put him next to other Rogue One characters, as most likely you will display them alongside each other. And at first glance, nothing strikes me as out of the ordinary. Forrest Whitaker's height stands about 6 feet 2 inches. Not short, but not towering. Diego Luna is about 4 inches shorter, and Felicity Jones is the shortest. Death Troopers are known to be tall and lanky and hence taller than Saw Gerrera, and Mads Mikkelsen is just a tad bit shorter in real life, and it seems accurate to the figure form. So yeah, everything measures up fine over here. Comparing him to other larger figures, an unhelmeted Wrecker is slightly taller, while same with Darth Vader, although at least in my mind's eye, Vader's a looming monster, and I thought, at least with helmet on, he should be huge. But, oh well. And so what's my final verdict? This is a complete unanimous must-buy for me. If you like this character, this is a really great representation. Again, you know, the guys from Out of the Basement during one of the live stream have said something really poignant, which is Saw Gerrera, unless if Figure Arts were to make a representation, which is very doubtful, I think Hasbro is probably the only one that's going to actually go through the trouble to make these figures. And as a stand, as a figure itself, it's actually quite an impressive figure. Not only because of the slight size difference, it's a bit chunkier and bigger, but also it's just the way everything comes together is just absolutely beautiful. In fact, after getting this figure, I was just so impressed with it that the completionist in me actually went online to Amazon and then bought the entire Rogue One wave, which I didn't do before. I decided to skip out on that before, but for some reason, now that I have Saw Gerrera and it's a great figure, I just felt the need to complete all of it and maybe have a Rogue One section on my shelf. So pretty much, this is a great figure. You guys would do yourself an injustice if you are not to get it, if you like this character. Otherwise, yeah, you know, I'll be more than happy to hear what you guys have to say. Please comment below. And again, thank you so much for tuning into this video. And yeah, you know, yeah, I'll see you in the next video then.